Ireland, a small country situated on the western tip of Europe. It's the birthplace of many great writers and musicians. Having experienced war and division like Korea, Ireland has emerged as a role model for inter-Korean reconciliation. It takes at least 13 hours by plane to reach Ireland from Korea, but the physical distance is not important. Today on Heart to Heart, Aingeal O'Donoghue, the Irish ambassador to South Korea, who contributes to promoting friendly ties between Korea and Ireland through educational and cultural exchanges. Ambassador O'Donoghue, thank you so much for joining us today on Heart to Heart. It is an honor to meet you. Could you please begin by saying hello to our viewers that are watching right now?
Thank you very much, Jennifer. And hello, everyone. Annyeonghaseyo. Good to meet you all.
Okay, welcome once again. Now, Korea and Ireland have very much in common, and to the degree that sometimes Koreans are called the Asian Irish. What do you think about this? Have you heard of this before?
I have, but you know, when I came first, I was a bit skeptical. I thought, how could this be? We're a very long way apart, geographically, quite different historically. But after 4 years here, I can really see some common trends. First of all, you know, we really do share some of the same type of history. Relatively small countries, big neighbours, a history of colonization, which is still affecting us. And also, I think, a strong sense of identity as a result of that. And then more recently, both countries have moved very rapidly from really being a rural, agricultural, relatively poor country to being a very vibrant, open-looking economy. Maybe to add two others. One is education. I mean, in both countries, families really value education, and I see that very much here, and I see it in my own country. And then I suppose also on the more fun side, a certain shared sensibility, storytelling, music, and of course the love of a good evening out with friends and family.
Yes. Oh, those are wonderful things. Yes, very much valued in Korea as well. So you mentioned this is your 4th year in Korea, and you've become the 6th and the first woman ambassador to Korea. You've been here since 2013. So what questions have you been asked most from Koreans? And I'm also curious about some of the most common misconceptions about Ireland that people tend to have.
Yeah, well, I suppose, you know, Koreans would not know Ireland very well, and that's really my job. My job is to help people know and understand Ireland better. So it's more around maybe a kind of a simple or a fairly superficial view of Ireland. So they might know, you would know our pubs, you would know our Guinness, but you wouldn't know, and I'd love to see more people coming, that we have maybe fantastic golf courses, great hiking, very friendly people, beautiful countryside. And equally on the sort of more economic front, people would know that the Irish economy is strong, but they wouldn't necessarily know that, you know, we have that leadership role in tech that we just talked about, or life sciences. So it's about building the profile of the country.
So earlier we talked about how a lot of tourists go to Ireland for its dramatically beautiful sceneries. But could you give the travelers some advice? People that are hoping to travel to Ireland, could you tell us maybe some places that they must go to? Maybe some must-do things and must-eat dishes.
Okay, well, now I'm going to have to make very hard choices. I think in terms of where I would really recommend them to visit is along the west coast of Ireland. We actually have this beautiful long route which is called the Wild Atlantic Way. So you're driving along right on the coast, overlooking the Atlantic, and that brings you from beautiful spots like the Ring of Kerry all the way to the cliffs of Moher, which are these very dramatic cliffs that go down into the sea. So I think if you take that sort of scenery piece in, that would be fantastic. And then on the other side, I think, you know, Dublin, one thing that for me is truly outstanding in Dublin is the Book of Kells, which is this very ancient, illuminated Christian script. And is very beautiful and very historic, and it is available to view in the very beautiful Trinity College. So I would recommend that as well. Thing to do here might be a bit of a challenge, but what I'm going to recommend is Ireland has its own traditional sports. It has a very traditional, completely different from soccer, traditional form of Gaelic football, and a game called hurling, which is played very fast and with sticks and is very dramatic. So if you could do one thing, I would say go and see a traditional Irish sport being played. It'll be very exciting. It'll bring you into the heart of Ireland. And to eat, well, I have to go back to my favourite. No, my favourites really are the fish. We have fabulous fresh fish. And, you know, I know Koreans don't eat lamb so much, but when they're in Ireland, they should try the lamb. It's really beautiful.
Okay, try the fish and the lamb. And specifically, what kind of fish would you recommend?
I would go salmon. We are salmon, both fresh salmon actually and smoked salmon. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you.
So you can have a feast as well as lots of fun.
Actually named best country to live in. It's followed by Switzerland in second. This was according to a survey done by The Economist magazine. And they were, I guess, this was selected from 111 nations to see which countries actually have the happiest people living in their country. So what is so great about Ireland? Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, you know, it's probably one fundamental thing is I think we get the balance right. So we have, you know, a very dynamic economy, as I was talking about, but we also have a very creative country. Culture is very important, literature, music, traditional Irish music, modern musicians like U2, the movie Once, which is very popular here. So, and also passionate about sport. We're kind of a sport-mad country. But that does mean that you end up with quite a good balance. So the quality of life is actually very good. And when you combine that with, as you were talking about, the beautiful countryside, and also, you know, fantastic beaches and ocean, you know, that gives an overall great quality of life. Now, I would have to say, one of the reasons our countryside is so green is that it does rain quite a bit. But we tend to get through that because most days you'll have a little sunshine and a little rain.
Yes. I actually took a look at one of the interviews that you did recently, and I was able to see some photographs of where you're actually from. Yes, very colorful. Yes.
And you know, that's been a huge change in Ireland. I mean, I would have to say that when I was young, a lot of our towns and villages were probably quite grey. And of course, as we were saying earlier, maybe we were not so prosperous. But along with the prosperity has gone a great pride of place. So our villages and towns tend to be very colourful, lots of beautiful flowers, and a real caring for the environment in which we live.
Yes, the pictures that I saw looked like a painting almost. It was very beautiful. So you mentioned that Ireland is famous for beer, specifically Guinness, literature as well, many Nobel winners. And so could you maybe talk about that a bit? Tell us about beer, Guinness. Not only Guinness, but I mean, Ireland is famous for the production of beer as well as whiskey. For your folk dances as well?
Well, I think, you know, maybe starting with the alcohol, though I don't always want to do that, Guinness is really now known around the world, and it was very unique. you know, this dark black beer, and even the process of pulling it it's a slow process. You can't rush your pint of Guinness. So even that talks a little bit to the pace of life, I think. But yes, we do have a lot of varieties of beer now, a bit like the craft beer phenomenon here. The whiskey also, Irish whiskey, is very well known, and you might not know that the word whiskey actually has its origins in the Gaelic Irish language, which was the word Ishkabaha, which means the water of life.
Whiskey, meaning the water of life.
Yes.
Interesting. All right. Because I imagined, I have not had the chance to travel to Ireland, and I plan to. Very soon I would love to. But I thought, okay, in Korea, for example, we come across a lot of Irish pubs, and you go to these pubs, enjoy your beer. So is life really... I don't know, what can you enjoy in Ireland? Could a person possibly spend a whole day, not exactly bar hopping, but moving from one pub to another pub and just enjoying their Guinness all day long?
Right, well, I suppose you could in theory, but I wouldn't really recommend it. No, I mean, I think, you know, when you go to Ireland as a visitor, what you really want to do is both enjoy the beautiful scenery, and then in the evening you go into a lovely warm pub with maybe some music playing and some convivial atmosphere. And one of the features really of Ireland is that people are very friendly. But again, if you go, you really shouldn't ignore our cities. I mean, Dublin in particular is a literary capital with so many literary greats. Fantastic, interesting history as well. So, you know, you have a kind of a complete package when you go there.
Okay, we'll be talking more about Dublin and all parts of Ireland in just a bit after a look at this video clip. So today, joining us in our studio right here on Heart to Heart is Irish Ambassador to Korea, Aingeal O'Donoghue. We'll be right back after a look at a video of the beauties of Ireland. So Ambassador O'Donoghue, before you first came to Korea in 2013, how much about Korea did you know? Had you visited before?
Well, first I have to say, to my shame, no, I had not visited before. So we came on a big adventure, myself, my husband and my daughter, taking up a new life and a new career here. Of course, before I came, I studied a lot about the history, the politics, the economics. But, well, you know, Dublin is our capital city, is a population of 1 million. So to arrive into Seoul, you know, with its huge cityscape and its vibrancy and its crowds, it was just such an exciting experience. And to this day, I continue to be really impressed by all aspects of Korea, but particularly by that, you know, that vibrant city we have here.
Okay, so what do you like most about Korea?
Well, maybe, you know, because at least I knew about the big city, even if I hadn't really experienced it. One of the things that took me a little by surprise and delight was all the walking, the hiking. There's so many amenities. Even here in Seoul, we often go for a walk on Namsan Mountain or up on the Bugak Skyway. There are just so many opportunities here to enjoy the outdoors, which I hadn't really expected before I came here.
And what do you miss most about home?
Okay.
You've spent 4 years here in Korea, so what do you miss most about home?
Probably, and while I really love Korean food, probably some of the Irish food. You know, we have beautiful dairy products in particular, butter and cheese and cream, and Irish beef, which is very unique, grass-fed Irish beef. So I probably miss some of the traditional Irish cooking. But in today's globalized world, you know, you still feel very connected to home. And we have a very strong Irish community here, so I don't lack for Irish company.
Oh, so do you often have Irish food? I mean, is it easy to get ingredients to cook Irish meals?
Some, and actually there's more and more Irish food coming into Korea now. Some fish, some salmon and shellfish, and also Irish porridge has proven very popular here.
Irish porridge?
Yeah, would you believe the porridge I grew up on having for my breakfast every day is now quite widely sold and popular in Korea.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never tried it. Could you tell us about the Irish porridge?
Well, I mean, it is more of a breakfast food originally, so it's mixed with milk. But now they've actually created all sorts of interesting recipes to make it more interesting for the Korean consumer. But I think it's a combination of the health, the strength of the health aspects and tasty. Yeah.
I see. Now moving on to another interesting thing about Ireland, what you will see in all parts of Ireland, I understand, busking.
Oh, right.
Yes, busking. It's become quite a trend in Korea as well. So I would like to talk about, you know, buskers and busking and the performers you'll see on the streets in Ireland. Tell us about the Christmas Eve busking. And I was doing a search and I found a picture of this gentleman, a young gentleman, busking on the streets, and he actually had a piano with him. Wow. He brought his piano onto the streets. So please tell us about that.
Yeah, well, maybe the Christmas Eve busk is particularly famous because it does attract actually very famous musicians. One of the reasons I think busking is so well known in Korea now is from that movie Once, which featured the main character, Glenn Hansard, busking on Grafton Street, which is one of our main streets. And he is one of those, along with, but not every year, along with, you know, even players, our musicians from U2 will occasionally busk,
Really?
I'm on the streets, gonna go where the bright lights, big city me, with a red guitar. On fire, desire, she's a candle burning in my room. I'm like a needle and screw over the shadow.
Now, like Korea, Ireland also, as you mentioned, is a very family-oriented society. Family means a lot. It's very, very important. Things have changed in Korea, but many, many years ago, centuries ago, it was the women's role to raise children and to take care of household chores. Maybe difficult for you to kind of juggle your work life and family life. What do you maybe do to kind of balance it out between the two?
You know, it's a constantly evolving story. I think it depends a lot on the age your children are at, the stage of your career. But so we've used, I mean, I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all answer. We've used a lot of different things, childcare, family support. And I suppose the other thing, for me anyway, is, you know, you have to accept you're not going to be perfect, that you can't be the perfect mom, whether you're working or not, you know. And so once you start from that point of view, I think that helps. And I suppose very crucially, if your partner also regards parenting and family life as central for him, then that changes the dynamic very significantly.
How is it for you at home?
Yeah, no, I must say I have been very fortunate. My husband takes his role as a father really, really seriously, and he has always, from the very beginning, been a very hands-on father. So that has meant that we're able to manage those challenges of the work-life balance, you know, between us. It's so much easier when you're a team.
It sounds wonderful to have someone there to help you and support you.
Well, I'll have to make sure he watches this now so he hears the public praise.
Because personally, I sometimes feel this sense of guilt for not being there for my little boy. He's 2.
Right.
And I feel bad at work. I try to spend as much time as possible with him. But then again, I'm always running from one job to another. And at the end of the day, I'm thinking, oh, I feel bad. Poor little boy. Mommy hasn't spent much time with him. So do you also sense that the feeling of guilt from time to time?
Yes, definitely. And probably more in the early years, when they need you more. And that goes back to my point about you can't be the perfect mom or indeed the perfect father. And so a bit like you, I'm sure, I said early on, well, look, if I see a busy period coming up, I will always get up. I will always have breakfast with my daughter. And I've done that right from the beginning. Now she's about to be 18, so I think it'll end. But we really have done that the whole way through. So, if you have a few simple anchors, and then you really just have to acknowledge that you can't be everything for.
Now, since we're kind of talking about raising a child and being good parents, now, sad to say, the low birth rate has become a serious issue in Korea. And I mean, we used to have large families in the past. Now, married couples are receiving some government help, but I think it's because many more couples are working together. They're getting married at a later age. This is a serious issue in Korea, but I heard that it's the other way around in Ireland. Do you actually have the highest birth rate in Ireland?
Well, I mean, actually, just to say that, a lot of these issues are now dealt with right across the European Union. So we have standard practices, and the European Union for Ireland was very important for sort of social policy development. But effectively now you have paid maternity leave for close to 10 months.
10 months?
Yeah, 10 months. And actually, if you're clever and combine it with your holidays, you really almost get a year. And I think, but even more important, and this has been there for a long time, you have absolute right to come back to the workplace and to the job you had.
So it's guaranteed?
Yeah. So, and there were a lot of, once the law came in, there was a lot of cases had to be taken for people to really, vindicate that right. Because, you could see companies that maybe played around and you kept the same title, but you mightn't have had the same responsibilities. So over time, it has really been made into a very substantial right. And I think that is hugely important. And the length of time really takes a lot of.
You'll be leaving very soon, I understand, very, very soon. What did you hope to achieve while you were here in Korea?
Right. Well, I guess, coming as a representative of the Irish government, my starting point really was that Korea is a like-minded partner for us in Asia. And really what I wanted to do was bring the two countries closer together. And I suppose that is around 3 areas, really. The political, where we cooperate together. Sometimes you have Korean and Irish troops fighting together in peacekeeping operations or working together on global issues like climate change. Economically, our trade has been increasing very substantially. But I also think that probably we can cooperate even more around issues that matter a lot for our economic future, like startups, entrepreneurship, how to foster that kind of young talent. And then in the area of the more sort of people-to-people links, I was very keen to see more educational links, given the importance both countries put on education, really to see more links between Irish and Korean universities. And then we also have a very successful working holiday program, which sees 600 young Koreans go to Ireland every year to live and work. And it's hugely popular. It's oversubscribed. But
can I go?
Depends on your age.
That sounds like a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah, no, it's great. And it's so encouraging to see these young Koreans go to Ireland. And when they come back, some of them are blogging about Ireland, they're writing books about Ireland, and we try and maintain then a network with them, keep them connected to us.
I see. That sounds wonderful, amazing. Well, last but not least, we're left with our last question. Actually, it's not a question, but I'd like to ask if you would like to add anything before I say goodbye.
Well, maybe since I'm leaving next month, actually, I think, really Korea has been a fantastic experience. It's both the contrasts, between this very modern, dynamic city and then your ancient history and culture. For me and my family, it's been a lovely experience living here. We've really enjoyed it. And I suppose as an ambassador, this was actually my first ambassadorial post which is a great honor. And so it was a great honor to be here and contribute to bringing Korea and Ireland closer together, to strengthening our friendship and cooperation. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much. It was an honor to have you on our show. We would like to thank you for giving us the opportunity to learn much more about Ireland and the beauties of Ireland. And we hope that you return home very soon in June with lots of beautiful memories of Korea.
Absolutely, I will indeed. And I will be an advocate for Korea and Ireland when I get back.
감사합니다.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.